enemy is advancing.
It is good to finally be back. Yeah, so I visited my artist in the Philippines, and I managed to get both an ear infection and dengue fever at the same time, and the ear infection hid the fever from the first 2 doctors I saw. That was lots of fun. Anyway, I've been horribly ill for 2 months. That sucked, especially considering I'm self-employed. On to more fun things, LAFS, Light AI Fire Support, which is the mod I have spent so long working on. And I'm glad to finally release it out to the public and get to talk about it and actually use it in missions. But in addition to that, we have some more Sins content, some more ArmA content coming out very soon, and even better than all of those, we have Procrastination, a chat board game. And you may be wondering, what does that mean? I won't explain. Just show up to this stream at Thursday, 9 AM AEST, or all of these other converted times. Thank you, editor. Anyway, that will be a quite fun stream. I hope you guys will enjoy. It's something I haven't done before, but it took a lot of work to prep as well. And yes, when I say a chat board game, I do mean that I literally made an entire board game. So, go check that out. And there will, of course, be a video of that once it's finished. That's pretty much it. I'm back at this point. Hope you guys enjoy the content to come, and I'll be honest, I have been going stir crazy, and I'm so glad to get back to streaming. Procrastination? Well, I'll give you one hint. It will involve chat deciding my schedule. Enjoy.
I may have a new tripod, but lighting green screens is still hell, especially at night, as I've just rediscovered. I actually despise green screens so much. There's one over there. I hate working with them. They're so annoying. Anyway, sure hope that doesn't look like total ass. Anyway, welcome to the LAFS demo mission, and I'm gonna stress, please, the biggest thing I learned from Persist is that 99% of the problems with my mod are not my mod. It's you guys not setting it up correctly. And that has been a constant problem with Persist, even though I produced the demo mission, so I'm making it super obvious this time. There is, of course, a wiki document if you require some light reading, and that also has the demo mission linked right at the start. It's linked on the store page, the workshop page. It is linked in the wiki. Please, for the love of God, use the demo mission. Not only because the demo mission you can just copy and paste and it will work, but because it's full of helpful notes that explain everything in great detail. So, we're going to go through the demo mission, show off what this mod actually does, and then either in between or at the end, we're going to show off, well, some players being on the receiving end of it in a couple of ops we've run with LAFS. To start with, the core of LAFS are the spotter teams. We have one right here in front of us. If we pop over to here, we can see that it's defined by being synced to the module, and this is a sniper, therefore anyone with that class name, any group rather with that class name will become a spotter group. Now this one over here is a sniper team, you'll notice because they're using a different class name, they're using the Arid sniper as opposed to the standard sniper over here. So these guys are spotters, those guys are snipers, and those are two different groups. The spotters themselves are the guys who are actually responsible for calling in fire support, and my recommendation to mission makers are to make these guys very distinct. Give them radio backpacks, give them unique hats, give them whatever you need so that the players can look at someone and be, that's a spotter. I've got to kill that guy so he'll stop calling fire support on my position. Here we go. Is it going to hit these guys? Oh my god! The fucking odds! The spotters must actually know where you are. They must use their knows about, which is a default ArmA mechanic, basically, how much an AI knows about where you are. And then they can call in fire support on you. There are, of course, a variety of fire supports, and let's go through those. Artillery is, of course, the core of the mod, and it's automatically detected as these mortars would be here, but it can also be used on a group with waypoints that's moving. This group will stop, complete a fire mission, and then continue on with their original waypoints. It can also be utilized by what I refer to as mobile artillery groups. Now, this guy down here is a mobile artillery group. These guys will dynamically move between firing positions and, where are we, artillery hides. So they will go to a firing position, complete their fire mission, return to a hide and take shelter, and then do it all over again. They won't, however, go to a firing position that's been used in the last 10 minutes. This is called shoot and scoot, and it's done to avoid counter-battery fire, which also works. Counter-battery fire works for both the players and the AI. As a heads up, we can see where you were with your artillery.
We've got Willie Pete landing southeast of us, about 500 meters.
Nope. No, that is hostile, according to Monty right now.
Oh.
Yeah, copy that, Monty. We can see that from here, actually. It's beautiful to see from a distance. As an artillery piece fires, as long as an enemy is within range to hear it, and of course, mortars are shorter ranged than an artillery piece, than a rocket, of course, are the longest range. They can be heard and seen from the furthest away. As long as an enemy is within range, intelligence will be gathered, and that intelligence, of course, decays over time. If enough intelligence is gathered, not only will a marker be placed on the location so that players can see it and therefore counter-battery the location themselves, but if there are AI supports available, they will be called in as counter-battery fire on the location, and that's not just artillery. So, for example, this mortar pit right here could, for example, attract enemy attention and then get bombed by a jet or attacked by a helicopter. These are two drone groups. These are the units who will send out FPV and dropper drones. However, you may notice that these guys have different class names. Now, if we pop back over to the setup area, these guys are actually set up separately. So you can set up the same type of support with different variables. In this case, the sharpshooter will only use the dropper type drones that drop mortars and grenades, whereas the JTAC will utilize all types of drones, droppers, as well as AP and AT FPV drones. Oh my god, that was brutal! That was brutal! Oh my god, it dropped a mortar shell!
We are regrouping and we're gonna clear the east side of the road again.
Drone.
Oh my god! I didn't think I could hear their voices! The FPVs are from Crocus FPV, which is a very good mod for players manning FPVs, but had no capabilities for the AI to fly them. I have since added a system that would let the AI fly them. It's included as a dependency, but you don't actually need it. If you don't include Crocus FPV, LAFs will work just fine. The only thing that will happen is that if you do have FPV drone users, they won't use FPVs, so there you go. A quick note on defining the groups. When it comes to the actual class names, there only needs to be one of the class name in the group for that to be considered a group type. So you could have a drone group with a sharpshooter and then several bodyguards. However, one thing I would heavily recommend against is mixing and matching. Don't combine, a drone group and a sniper group and a tank hunter group together. It'll just break everything. Don't do that. Helicopters can perform both CAS and rocket missions, and will also use a variety of munitions in doing so. They can also return to air bases that are set up as helicopter bases, which are, separate from actual airports. Yeah, I'm just gonna let everyone know I'm at the fucking supermarket if I suddenly stop responding after this rocket strike. No, I'm good!
Complete on the green mounted artillery.
Okay, they nearly hit the civilians, but I'm good.
Holy shit! What the fuck?
Planes, which are over here, will need airports. They will require an actual runway to be utilized, which means that the map will have to have some kind of runway for you to place their airbase on. If a side is below a certain number of active aircraft, these airbases will spawn more aircraft to replace them. In addition, if the aircraft are being deployed on a mission and get stuck on their way to to take off, there is a system in place as well to move them automatically to the runway and have them take off. In addition, you can also destroy both supply bases and air bases by sinking objects to them and then destroying those objects. So you could have a mission objective where players disable a supply base or disable an airbase, and it will actually disable those. Planes have far more missions. They have the generalized CAS mission, a CAP mission, combat air patrol, if they have air-to-air weapons used for shooting down other aircraft. They have rocket runs, they have gun runs, which can also utilize rockets during their gun run. And, most fun of all, they have bomb missions. Not just bomb missions though, cluster bomb missions too.
Negative, we're patching our wounded. I have one squad hunting a spotter team to our north, and marked Alpha Blue, and one team currently treating wounded Alpha Red, south down.
Back to the snipers we mentioned earlier, and honestly, they're one of the simplest missions in LAFs. See, in ArmA, you can have an AI fire at really, really distant targets if you give them a sniper rifle and tell them where the target is. The problem is, in the average gameplay experience of ArmA, you're never going to get spotted at those distances, so the sniper is never going to figure out that you're actually 1,500 meters that way. As such, the mission works through basically just revealing your location. The sniper can move too to get Overwatch on you, but, that's the main concept, is that you get revealed to the sniper, and they start firing at you. Tank QRF. Now, this one is also pretty straightforward. You can do it in groups, of course, so there's a big column of tanks versus a lone tank. And there are anti-infantry versus anti-vehicle tanks. You can put both on at the same time, of course. But that's just so that if you have, say, a tank destroyer, you can have it deploy only to kill enemy vehicles. That doesn't mean it won't deploy if there is infantry present. It just means it won't deploy if there are no vehicles present. So if there are infantry and tanks, it will then still deploy and target those units.
There's tanks so close to these guys. Oh my god! Oh my god, I just watched Beakar's body get fucking thrown!
The system that actually got me to stop working on this mod for it must have been 5 months that I didn't touch this mod because of these guys specifically. Tank hunters. These are infantry groups specifically intended in an anti-tank role, sent out with with either guided or unguided weapons. It'll work dynamically. And they will then go out to try and target enemy vehicles. If they run into them along the way, they'll target those vehicles first. And they will try to time their anti-tank attacks so that they all attack their targets at the same time. Basically, trying to achieve surprise and mass effect on the target by hitting them with multiple RPGs or, whatever your anti-tank weapon is at once. Now, when it comes to these tank groups, they don't have to be defined by every single anti-tank unit in their group. For example, this tank hunter's unit is defined only by the guided missile specialists at the front. However, it will still utilize the unguided rocket man at the back when it goes in on the attack. The guys without rockets, without anti-tank weapons, these guys will be split into a support team, which is basically just a distraction effort whilst the anti-tank team tries to get in position to use their weapons. If you're wondering why this got me so mad that I stopped working on this mod for months, turns out ArmA has no way at all of just saying, fire your rocket launcher. That's not a command. That doesn't exist. This uses a very complex animation and forced guidance system and everything just to try and make a facsimile of what I wanted, which was go and shoot your rocket launcher at a tank. Holy hell, I hate ArmA's animation-based system so badly. And lucky last of the supports, we have mobile anti-air. This is used in a similar fashion to the CAP missions. When enemy aircraft are spotted, either a CAP mission or mobile anti-air will be called to deal with them. Mobile anti-air simply means, mobile anti-air. It should work for infantry. I don't intend it to. I wouldn't recommend it. But is intended for, self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, any sort of truck with an AA gun in the back, the Humvee Avenger. Those sort of vehicles can be called up towards a location to be utilized as anti-air. Now, they will, of course, try and engage targets in the location, and they'll hang out there for a little while to ensure that area is covered by their anti-air until they get called off elsewhere. Now, let's talk supply. Now, a few of these systems utilize supply. Aircraft do, artillery does, and drones do. So that means that tanks, snipers, tank hunters, Mobile AA, they don't use the supply system just because they're limited by their actual ammo count. However, the supply system for these other groups is more limited by their fire missions. So artillery aren't actually limited by how many shells are in their physical vehicle, they're limited by an artificial number, that being 4. They can provide 4 fire missions before they require resupply. At which point, they get down to 1 fire mission left, they will call for resupply, and a supply truck will spawn at this supply base, assuming one exists. If none exists, tough luck, and then will drive from the supply base to the artillery. Quick note, they will actually check that they can reach. So if there is a supply base on an island, and, you know, an artillery group on another island, and they can't reach each other, there's no bridge or anything, they will not try to deliver supplies. Just be aware of that. Now, the way this works, a supply truck spawns, drives off to the area, refills their virtual supply count, and then drives back home. This can be interrupted. If you destroy the supply truck, they won't be refilled. If you see where the supply truck is coming from, or where it's going to, that can reveal the location of enemy supply base, or the location of an enemy support, such as a drone group, or an artillery group, or so on and so forth, or an airbase. Drone groups have 5 ammo, and they use 1 ammo per drone they deploy, so the biggest swarm they can deploy is 5 drones. That can be deployed in one go if their target is big enough, or it can be deployed one by one. Now, same as with the air bases, if you sink objects to these supply bases, you can destroy them, and then the supply base stops functioning. This lets you knock them out. There is a similar system for artillery hides and firing positions, but you don't have to actually destroy anything. Rather, when the enemy tries to utilize one of the firing positions or the hides, if they see that, well, known enemy units, important to make that distinction, if known enemy units are within 600 meters of a firing position or 800 meters of an artillery hide, if there is more than one enemy unit within those limits, they will consider that position to be overrun and remove it from their roster. If there are no firing positions left, mobile artillery just turns itself into static artillery and continues firing. The last thing to talk about in the supply system is air bases. These can spawn planes or attack helicopters, or both, and retire the aircraft when they get back home. Now they have a supply count as well as an airframe count, and those are two very different things. The supplies work the same as pretty much every other supply, so you can have max of 20, there you go, when they get refilled, they'll go back up to 20, they can have a max of 4, so on and so forth. The way supplies are used is that when a plane goes out in a fire mission, that's one supply. When it comes back, you know, it'll utilize that supply to replenish itself, and so on and so forth. The airframes, however, those cannot be replenished in a mission. Once they are gone for good. You can, of course, set them to infinite if you wanted, but the idea is that, let's say this base has 2 airframes in it, along with the 4 planes, here we go, that we see here that are going to take off. There's also helicopters, so that's actually 5. It's 5 airframes plus 2 in the base, for a total of 7. Because when those aircraft take off and they land back at the airbase, if retire aircraft is turned on, as it is here, they will effectively delete themselves and turn themselves into an airframe. They can then be respawned. Of course, when an airbase spawns a new aircraft, they utilize 1 airframe. So if you're shooting aircraft down, eventually the enemy will run out of aircraft. But if they're landing back at their airbase, they can be recycled and sent back out. Now, why would you want to do that? It's kind of a performance and damage and sanity thing. The AI isn't very good at parking themselves after they've landed, unfortunately. Those aircraft that are then freshly spawned can then be utilized for various fire missions. To wrap things up, let's have a quick look at the defining area. So this is just basically the place that I've got on the map that is used to define various classes. So for example, that's the mobile AA right there. That's the anti-infantry tank. That's both anti-infantry and anti-vehicle. Down there is the tank hunter. And over here, there we go, that's the sniper. But far more important are the aircraft. Now, you'll notice these aircraft all have different loadouts as well. This guy has a shit ton of rockets. This guy has a mixed loadout. And this guy has cap only, so he only has anti-air missiles. When these are synced to their module, they do record what their pylons actually have. So, when the airbase goes to spawn an aircraft, for example, it can spawn one of 5 aircrafts. The helicopter, assuming it's allowed to spawn those, or 4 planes. A cap Black Wasp, a mixed A-10, a rocket A-10, and a cluster A-10. So that's pretty much all there is to say for laughs for now, and in the background you can enjoy a little battle. Somewhere down there there's an AT drone that's going to be really hard to see. If a vehicle randomly explodes, you know what happened. But I wanted to include this right at the end, which is an ideas guy section, because I just really wanted to spoil some people typing things in the comments. Oh, I think that AT drone just hit the tank. Anyway, so basically, Laughs has been my baby for quite a while, and there is plenty I intended to add, or I want to add, or I will add, that I just had to stop myself from adding, because I had to release it at some point. The scale has grown immensely. You know, the snipers and tank hunters and all sorts are all just extra bits that I was like, I bet I could make that, and then I did. You know, even up to making the trailer, I think I updated the mod like 16 times whilst making the trailer. Hell, I'm updating the mod whilst recording this. But yes, indeed, there you go. There's some fire support in the background. That's the, I think that's a howitzer actually, a team that moved to a firing position. Rapid fire ideas, let's do this. First of all, convoy system. I would love to add a system that basically, where supply trucks will detect that they're being killed en route to their resupply targets, and will instead leave with convoys, slowly going up to heavy convoys if players keep killing them, or, you know, if AI keeps killing them, you know, to try and get supplies through. Similarly, helicopters for supply, that's another thing I'd like to add. A radio module is something I'd love to add with a bit of voice acting included, where it'll basically be that if you want to get alerts as to the fire missions that friendly forces are doing, and if you want to know where enemy counter battery is, you have to be listening in on a radio, either a physical object in the world, or a long range on your back. In a similar fashion, oh, there you go, rocket run. In a similar fashion, I would also like to cut down on aircraft needlessly killing themselves by including a kind of air avoidance system where if they see that jets are being shot down repeatedly in an area, they'll stop sending jets there. Lastly, to end the idea guy fun for now, transports, infantry, and Spec Ops QRF. Now, what I mean by that, first of all, is one of my absolute pet peeves in ArmA is when people call it an infantry QRF in a truck or whatever, and they just drive it straight into the players. And then the players obviously immediately machine gun all of the guys who are still sat in a truck waiting to get out. Or they just hit it with a rocket and everyone dies, and like 20 enemy that could have been threatening become completely unthreatening. So I would like an automated system where, you know, AI dismount early and then move in on foot from their transport. Similar deal with helicopters and Spec Ops as well. Though Spec Ops, I specifically want to be kind of hunting enemy artillery and such, so they can deploy out as an option instead of counter battery. You know, instead, if you make some noise, you might suddenly see a helicopter appear nearby, and a Spec Ops team will get out and come try and kill your mortar battery. Just a potential idea. But anyway, that's all stuff I'd love to work on. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please do check out the Procrastination live stream. All the times were linked, and I'm sure you can find some more information about that below. And yeah, that's all for now. Thank you all for watching, and have a lovely time. Goodbye! Alright, I'll be real. I had even rendered and uploaded the video before I realized I don't think I ever explained why it's called Light AI Fire Support. First of all, as a homage to Drongo's AI Fire Support, which is what inspired this in the first place. And obviously, I love Drongo's mods. I've helped him a ton. He's a great dude. I sent this trailer to him as well, you know, everything. It's a lovely, lovely lad, and I highly recommend his mods. But there's a little caveat in that they are built for a smaller player base. That is what Drongo builds his mods for. And I am building a mod for a big player base. And those requirements are pretty different, especially when it comes to performance. And so, for example, if there are features or problems in Laughs that I find are like causing lag or anything, they will become optional very quickly. You know, the intent is this should work even at large scale. It should still function and not cause everyone's PCs to explode. Anyway, goodbye. You want chip? This is a pretty bad chip. I'm not giving you this chip. Alright, here you go. There you go. Alright, good night, guys.